Now, the way that we do it in the English system is on the top. Your weight in kilograms divided by your height in meters squared. In other words, you divide it by your height in meters 2 times. And that number should be what your basal metabolic index is. Now, in the U.S., we do, instead of kilograms, we have weight in pounds times 705 divided by your height in inches squared. That number should come out under 25. If you're living in India, it might go down to 18. We say 18 and a half here usually is enough. But in India, we would give them a little excess advantage because they're skinny over there. We'd say probably 18. But the best method really is just measure your waist circumference. Should be no more than 35 inches for women and 40 inches for men. That's a simple thing to do, okay? Now, let's look at these slides. 5 major points on your food. Let's summarize it. No snacks. Decrease the empty calorie foods. That means don't have many minerals or vitamins with them, like sugar. Limit your oils. Use whole grains instead of refined grain. 3, limit saturated fats to 5 to 6% of the calories. That's the Heart Association recommendation. That means vegetarian diet, but we don't say the word. Limit variety at any one meal. The more variety, the more people eat. Now, you want to have a variety over 10 days, but not one day, one meal. 2-meal-a-day program is the ideal thing. When Adventists were just few in number, maybe 70,000 back in the 1870s or so, we were all on 2 meals a day. Sister White says. She says, I've been to all the camp meetings, and they're on 2 meals a day. Our school, Healdsburg, PUC, started 2 meals a day for the students. They had to pay extra if they had 3. And if you had the 3rd one, there would be no vegetables in it. Easily digested thing, fruits and grains primarily, okay? Now let's go through these in a little more detail. No snacks. No snacks. The pause that refreshes. Bigger snacks, bigger slacks. Okay, you got that? Sugar is the ideal food. Common sugar is almost ideal food. It's cheap. It's clean. It's white. It's portable. It's imperishable. Germ-free. Completely soluble. Altogether digestible. Requires no cooking. Leaves no residue. Its only fault is its perfection. It's so pure that man cannot live on it. So sugar's a problem. Decrease sugar. Where are we getting it from? Our soft drinks, fruit drinks, is 33 to 40% of our intake. And the other 60% is from bakery goods like pies, cakes, sweet rolls, breakfast cereals, candy, canned fruits, jams, dairy, such as ice cream. Scientists no longer promote juice. We used to promote juice. We no longer do that. As orange juice, it increases diabetes risk, while the whole oranges decreases it. You got that? So we aren't pushing juice. Question back here. I can't hear her. I can't hear her.
Fresh juice.
What's that?
If they
Fresh juice? Fresh juice? No, it doesn't make any difference. You shouldn't be using juices. You should use the whole orange. Okay? Now, coinage, in our coins it says, in God we trust.
Can we hold questions until
What's that?
Hold the questions
Oh,
until the end.
okay, if I can hear it. Okay. The original diet was fruit from the tree of life, as it will be in the new earth. There weren't any vegetables in that original diet. You don't know that. Before there was sin, there was no vegetables. That was the animal food, if you read Genesis. Jesus is waiting to drink grape juice with us, so we can't be too strong against that either. The Bible in Proverbs says honey used in proper amounts is proper to use. When it gets in the intestines, the fructose and glucose separate, then you can call it sugar. It's bad medicine, same as sugar, okay? Pies. Banana cream pie has 32 teaspoons of sugar per pie. Berry, 48 teaspoons. Apple, 72. Lemon, 96. Economics. Economically, sugar is the poorest buy for the dollar of all the food groups, with the fish and meat group the next poorest, okay? Meat and fruit group. I'm surprised. We've always promoted meat as being good nutritionally from most standpoints except for heart attacks and cancer. But economically, it's a poor buy as far as other nutrients in it. Sugar is part of the obesogenic diet. Sugar increases heart attacks, strokes, hypertension, diabetes, some cancers, arthritis. It increases blood triglycerides. That's the fat. It's a poor buy economically. It causes tooth decay, especially when taken between meals. It affects the hypothalamus up here in the brain, then goes down to the parotid gland, the Mumps gland, which controls the fluid movement in the teeth. And the sugar reverses the fluid movement in the teeth. And that lasts for about 5 hours. Discovered by Dr. Steinman at Loma Linda University. If you aren't true to your teeth, they'll be false to you. True? The American Heart Association recommends no more than 100 calories, that's 6, not tablespoons, 6 teaspoons of sugar for women, and 150 calories, 9 teaspoons for men every day. No more than that. And when Sister White said, be careful of the sugar, we're using too much, the average American was getting about 10 teaspoons a day. So that's what the Heart Association is saying. It's pretty close to what Sister White said. Sugar and fruits. Nutritionists recommend using fruits even though they contain sugar, since they are so useful in lowering cancer risk. But the conclusion of this matter is that we should otherwise be using complex carbohydrates such as starch with its associated fiber. Now, we should limit our oil use. Oil contains some fatty acids that are essential to life, such as linoleic acid, as in soybeans and corn, and alpha-linolenic acid, as in flaxseed and chia seed. Some fat, in other words, our body can't make those, and you have to have them to live. So you have to get them in your food. Some fat is needed to absorb the fat-soluble vitamins. And even the water-soluble carotenoids are coated with fats, so you need these fat-soluble, some fat for that. Processing carotenoids with mechanical homogenization or heat may enhance the bioavailability from vegetables 18% to a 6-fold increase. So the homogenization, the heating, may help too. Other reasons for fats in the diet. The long-chained omega-3 fatty acids, the EPA and the DHA, are needed for the infant brain, nerves, and retinal development. These supposedly would come only from fish. And that's why in some of our vegetarian congresses, we had non-Adventist speakers who said you should have fish every day. Gary Fraser got up after one person had said something like that and said he took total vegetarians, a group of nurses, 6 or 8 of them, put a needle in the buttocks, pulled out a fat globule and analyzed it. They had more of these DHA and EPA than the general population had. And they didn't eat any fish. Where was it coming from? Nobody knows. We're guessing right now. Nobody has the data to prove it. The water-soluble beta-carotene needs fat to be absorbed, and it is usually surrounded with fat when you eat it. Importance of enough fat. When reducing fat too much, from 42% of the calories to 22%, or from 20% to 10%, 1/3 of the LDL particles switch to the small, dense type, which increases the heart attack risk greatly. We used to measure it. We don't anymore. We just go by triglyceride level. We can guess what it is. There's two kinds of these things in the bloodstream. The one is a small, dense type. The other is a large, light, buoyant type. Now, with a large, light, buoyant type, you have only a doubling of your heart attack risk. But with a small, dense type, you have 7 times increase in heart attack risk. And so if you lower your fat so much, too much, what happens? A lot of those things that have been large, light, buoyant type switch to the small, dense type, which is kind of interesting. We should avoid deep fat fried foods as using the oil over many times. Using it again and again, the same oil, may increase the risk of producing carcinogens. Most successful weight loss people were those who reduced fat intake. If using oils, get used to no more than 2 tablespoons a day. I think that's sufficient. It is noted the Bible uses oil as a symbol for the Holy Spirit. The Bible wasn't against oil. You look at Leviticus 2. That's the oil chapter. There's just 9 times it talks about oil. If you don't put oil in the mix, in the making your bread, you're supposed to wipe out on the top. You're supposed to have oil. Whole grains. Use whole grains rather than refined grains. This provides more fiber, which in itself helps to lower weight and various nutrients. It's really good. The European studies showed that their vegetarians had not near enough vitamin C or fiber, like Adventists had. If you're eating a good diet to be healthful, rather than just some of these rules to go by, it's better because instead of switching to the wrong kind of food, you switch to the right kind of food, which has fiber and nutrients with it. Now, limit saturated fat to 5 to 6% of the calories. That's what the American Heart Association has said for many years now. They were the first ones to tell us all not to use butter. Sister White had said that years ago. For practical purposes, a low saturated fat diet means a vegetarian diet. A study in the UK showed weight gain was less with the fewer animal products in the diet. According to a Swedish study of 5,000 healthy middle-aged women, the vegetarians were half as likely to be overweight or obese. So a vegetarian diet is good. Vegetarians, for health reasons, rather than just to be kind to animals, gets much more fiber and vitamin C in their diet. The U.S. government in 2015 stated the vegetarian diet is an optimum type of diet. This is what the scientists told the top administrator in those 2 departments to tell the whole population in the U.S. But the 2 top leaders Agriculture and Health Department leader said, that's too strict. And so they added lean meats to the vegetarian diet. Dairy fat. If milk is used because of the butter fat being a problem, it should be non-fat or no more than 1% fat. Not 2%, 1%. Avoid butter, Heart Association said. Avoid cheese. Now you can make your own cheese from cashews. Have you learned how to do it? Anybody learned how to do that? Yeah, a few of you have, okay. Meats are lacking in carbohydrate and fiber. Meats are also high in saturated fats and in cholesterol. Fish is not high in saturated fat, but could well be high in cholesterol. The body makes all the cholesterol that is needed, so there's no need to get it in your diet. You got that? Cholesterol only comes from animal products. Variety. Limit variety to any one meal to no more than 3 different dishes, but over a 10-day period have a large variety of foods to get all your nutrients you need. The large variety at one meal leads to overeating. Kids eating out eat almost double the amount they eat at home. The 2-meal-a-day program. This is also called intermittent fasting. If a person has any trouble at all in losing weight, if he will go on the 2-meal-a-day program, he usually has no problem in losing. That program means skipping supper, not skipping breakfast, like Chef AJ does. She skips breakfast. I said, that's a mistake. You need to be skipping supper. It means eating nothing after 2 p.m. It is thought that skipping breakfast and only eating lunch and dinner at night will not have the same good result. Actually, it increases your risk of dying. This not only helps with weight control, but with sleep apnea and also in keeping metabolic cycles going properly. God had the ravens feed Elijah how many times a day? Twice. He was put on 2 meals a day if it wasn't on before. Now, the biggest way to lose your weight is through behavioral change. That's one way. I'm just going to zero in on that one now. Obese people are controlled by their externals. They put people in a room, and they had half of the rooms clock going 1 hour too fast. The other rooms had half of the clocks, or had the clocks all going 1 hour too slow. You know, when it came time for 12 o'clock, where most people eat lunch, the overweight people, even though it was only 11 o'clock, said, I got to eat. I'm hungry. Whereas normal weight people don't do that. They say, hey, I'm not hungry. My stomach tells me it's not time to eat. So the external factors are things that you have to be careful of if you're overweight. Break the chain of events early. In other words, when that Hershey chocolate bar in front of your mouth, you remember, this New Year's resolution, I wasn't going to eat that candy bar. It's too late. It's been in front of your mouth. It's too late. You've got to break the chain of events early. You shouldn't have had any change in the pocket to put into the slot machine to get the candy bar in the first place. Walking past the donut shop. You're going to work. You're walking to work. You pass the donut shop, and the donut calls out to you, hey, you always get one here. It's ready. It's right here. Come in and get it, and you'll go in and get it. You got to design another path to your work that doesn't go by the donut shop, okay? The man comes home after work. He sits on his nice sofa in front of the TV, and he's right next to the kitchen. And the peanuts in the kitchen say, hey, you always get your peanuts now. They're ready. They're right here. Come get them. And you get up out of your chair and you go get the peanuts. You've got to change a lot of things when you're trying to lose weight. Your friends. Develop a new set of friends. Thin friends. Those who like to live the way you want to live. Those who eat like you want to eat. Develop friends who wish to exercise daily and exercise with them. Develop friends who don't snack, who ate a good breakfast but little or no supper. Develop friends who spend little time with TV or computer games but are physically active. Your social life is different. You develop a whole new set of friends. This person who's overweight might even have to sit at a different place at the dining room table. So he begins to realize, hey, things are going to be different. One must identify the cues that trigger your eating when you don't want to be eating. We make 400 decisions a day on eating without even thinking about any one of them. It takes about 28 days to develop a new habit. Since it takes about 20 minutes after starting the meal before the brain can tell you that you've had enough, it may be best to eat things such as green salad that are low in calories first at the meal. Make it a habit to eat only when sitting down at the table, not standing up, walking around. Same place every day. Dishware size. Use smaller dishware plates, bowls, cups, and give the big ones to the Goodwill. 85 nutrition experts had an ice cream social. Somebody was leaving. They were sending him off. And so they had this social. And they did an experiment at the social. They gave the people either a big bowl or a small bowl. They either had a small scoop for ice cream or a big scoop. Who do you think ate the most ice cream? This is kind of exciting. It really worked. These were dietitians, nutritionists, and it worked. The people having the smaller instruments didn't get so fat. Have no more than 2 to 3 dishes of food at a single meal. You don't have to eat all the soup in the bowl. They took people with half the bowls. They had it so the soup was coming in from the bottom, and you kept getting more and more soup, and you're not realizing it. But we're taught to eat everything that's on the plate, everything in the soup bowl, and they kept eating, and they ate a lot more. Slow down in your eating. Take your hand off your fork between bites. It's not going to run away from you. If you're still eating too fast, try eating with chopsticks. If it's still too fast, try just one chopstick. Leftovers. Too much to eat, too little to save. That's what makes the housewife plump. Throw leftovers away or store in an opaque container in the refrigerator. A good motto: do less talking about weight reduction. Just keep your mouth closed. Reward. With pounds lost, reward yourself. This must be a non-oral reward, not food. One who has success and gets a reward is more apt to stick to the program. Stomach is bad on math. Stomachs are bad on math. They can't count calories. Have something on the plate to remind you how much you ate, such as pits, bones from meat, peeling, etc. Memories are even worse. 12% of the people couldn't even remember how many slices of bread they ate at the last meal, or if they ate any bread at all. You have to know the delicate art of saying no when they come around to serve you some more. You can say no. No, thank you. I'm on a diet. I'm full. It was all good. I couldn't eat another bite. Leave a small portion on the plate. Then when asked to take a second helping, you can indicate you were unable to finish the first. ask for a very small piece rather than total refusal. So there's a delicate way of saying no. Exercise. For every hour you exercise, you will live 3 hours longer. All obese women who exercise daily will outlive the normal weight women who don't exercise. Now, I had this lady helping me making my slides for my programs. She was very good at it. She did this for a living, doing advertising. And she made all these beautiful slides. I don't know how much she weighed. She would never tell me. But it was well over 300 pounds. Maybe 400, I don't know. She was big. I mean, big. So I told her some of the scientific stuff we know. An obese woman who exercises daily will outlive a normal weight woman who doesn't exercise. A man who smokes, has hypertension, and has high serum cholesterol who exercises every day will outlive the man who doesn't have any of these problems but doesn't exercise. Oh, she says, that's good. I exercise every day. I said, what do you do? She said, I go horseback riding. Now, I know the horse exercises. But I did watch her feeding the animals, and she worked so hard with that feed stuff. I could see she did get a lot of exercise. Exercise reduces cardiorespiratory disease. It reduces 13 cancers. The women who jog have lower weight, less obesity than the women who don't jog. It reduces diabetes risk. It reduces osteoporosis and fractures. It reduces Alzheimer's disease. It reduces obesity. It's the best preventive for hypertension. Improving fitness lowers mortality more than by stopping smoking. Did you get that? It's hard to believe. Exercise is a better indicator of longevity than smoking, blood pressure, serum cholesterol, obesity, or other measures. Ideally, the obese should exercise an hour each day. In Hawaii, all who walk 2 or more miles a day versus 1 or less had half the death rate. That's pretty good. The speed you walk is more important than the duration. An estimation of how long an elderly man is going to live can be made by the speed he walks. Most studies show obesity does not appear to increase mortality very much when data is adjusted for cardiorespiratory fitness. Now, Stephen Blair was a friend of mine. I never met him personally, but we communicated a lot together. He was short, about 5'8", and he weighed a lot, plump, but he was in good shape physically. Stephen Blair, senior author of the Surgeon General's Physical Activity Report, now 84 years of age, that was 2023, he's passed away. Oh, he was 5'4", not 8, and he weighed 195 pounds. He was plump, but he ran 4 miles a day. His research shows about 50% of obese people were fit. There is a misdirected obsession with weight and weight loss. The focus is all wrong. It's fitness that is the key. He passed away just a while back. I'm still trying to find out what he died from. But he was a good fellow. He knew his scientific stuff very well. I called him. I said, I want to teach people how to exercise that doesn't harm their joints. How do we do that? He wrote me right back and sent me about 60 pages of his articles he had written. He's written more than anybody else. And he was pointing out that exercise doesn't cause the joint problem. you were playing football and got damaged joints and knees or something. And that's what caused the problem. Then exercise makes it worse. But the exercise didn't cause the problem in the first place. After a few weeks on a low-calorie diet, one stops losing weight and plateaus. What do? The answer to that is increase the basal metabolic rate by more exercise. A Russian study showed that an exercise which uses all muscles is the best. For example, a person who exercises with his legs only until his heart rate is reduced to a low fit level, but then switches to exercising only with his arms, such as rowing a boat, the resting heart rate returns to the higher level until he has done this for a long enough period again. So an exercise that is using all the muscles is the best. That's the only article I've seen on that, but I think that's right. An exercise that uses all the muscles is better. I think gardening does. Approximately half of adults aged 50 or older engage in no leisure time activity. With two normal weight men, the active man has half the risk of dying versus the inactive man. Sitting time increases the death rate. Those who use a pedometer tend to lose considerably more weight. In other words, being lean is not helpful if you're not exercising. It's helpful only if you're exercising. Don't attempt to build muscle with a high-protein diet, as this may likely result in chronic kidney disease. 1 in 7 in the U.S. today has chronic kidney disease, and 90% do not know it. This kidney death rate could be reduced to less than 34% of the current rate if people were on a lower protein diet, as is the vegetarian diet. Build muscle by exercise, not by diet. And all these people that are in these businesses of teaching people to exercise and everything don't do this. On the way out, there's rows and rows of cereals that are high-protein diet. And they don't know anything about their kidneys. The doctor doesn't diagnose kidney problem until the BUN goes up, or basically the creatinine goes up. So they don't diagnose it till it's too late for the diet to do the helpful thing. Now, I have to be very careful here, because right now they're coming out and changing your diet recommendations. They're saying kids need more protein. They said, we have science to prove it. I haven't seen the science. There's no science that proves it. I've written papers to show science disproves it. So I'm very worried about what they're doing right now. Excessive exercise may put you at the same mortality level as inactivity. Did you get that? If you exercise too much, it may increase your chance of dying as much as not exercising at all. We don't know how much difference there is. How much is too much? Possibly walking more than 10 miles or running more than 5 miles every day is too much. Exercise, I recommend to non-Adventists, should be useful. Ellen White says it should have soul-winning effect. It's a spiritual thing, okay? It should be useful. It should be judicious. I asked Stephen Blair how to educate people to exercise without damaging their joints. He said, studies show the exercise did not damage the joints, but the damage came from previous injury, such as when playing football. Now, here's some other miscellaneous, but also important points in weight control. Motivation to develop a lifestyle, to maintain a normal weight is extremely important. There are two major ways to do this. One is spirituality, spiritual way. And the other is from the health standpoint alone. Okay? Use your religion to advantage. The Bible says God is interested in your health. He also says, I can do all things through Christ which strengtheneth me. Whether therefore you eat or drink or whatsoever you do, do all to the glory of God. Even eating and drinking has something to do with honoring God. Pray. Often people are unable to overcome bad habits without outside help, a power above them. With health, you may do it without talking about weight, but just about prevention of disease, such as prevention of heart attacks or strokes. Statins are not helpful in 93% of those taking it, but lifestyle does help. Or you can talk about weight directly. I like to talk about the weight directly, but you don't have to talk about something like a heart attack. Get the lower blood cholesterol or something, and you can do the same diet. Fiber. One of the best ways to lose weight is to get adequate fiber in your diet. The food in the natural state is lowest in calories. Men must know when their wives go into the kitchen to cook, they add sugar, salt, and oil, which we usually don't need, and they call it cooking. Now, you men, you should know what your wives do in the kitchen. Cooking is adding salt, sugar, or oil. Actually, we will find that God gave us originally the food he gave us is the best in its natural state as far as possible. We really don't need recipes. In fact, she says the day is soon coming when we will not need recipes. Make food your medicine, or medicine will become your food. Now, drugs for insulin resistance, the Ozempic, it's a big deal. It wasn't supposed to be used for overweight people, but they started using it. It's supposed to be used for diabetics. Semaglutide, costs $300 a month, may get the pancreas to produce more insulin. This is known as Ozempic, and when stopping its use, it is likely you will regain again the weight you had lost. Many of the new drugs are expensive, and so only the wealthy are using them. For example, Contrave costs $600. Saxenda here, $1,205. Another one, $19,000. Lots of money. Now, how does Ozempic work? This works by mimicking a naturally occurring hormone, a glucagon-like peptide receptor agonist. As those hormones rise, the molecules go to your brain, telling it you're full. It also slows digestion by increasing the time it takes for food to leave the body. It comes in a weekly injection or tablet that helps to lower blood sugar while helping the pancreas to make more insulin and promotes beta cell proliferation. It hasn't been approved weight loss. They made another new pill, like Ozempic, that's used for weight loss. The ideal diet should be mostly carbohydrate, 60 to 70% of the calories, with protein only 10% and fat 20 to 30%. Our carbohydrates should be more calories in the diet than our protein and fat combined. The recommended amount of protein by the U.S. scientists has remained the same all my life, 100 years, except that now they're trying to raise it. Certain foods, although fairly high in fat, are excellent and to be recommended, such as avocado and soybean. We got good evidence, both from the heart standpoint and the cancer standpoint, from both of these. A study showed that non-HDL cholesterol for those on the average U.S. diet was 151 versus 145 for the low-fat diet, 142 for the medium-fat diet, but 135 for the avocado diet, with one avocado every day for 5 weeks. Is an avocado a day too much fat? Although the fat content of avocados makes them high in calories, a 2022 study published in the Journal of the American Heart Association observed that people who ate one avocado per day for 6 months maintained a stable body weight. Avocados are good food. Soybeans are good food. Soy lowers the LDL without like other beans, lowering the HDL levels too. See, soybeans don't lower the LDL level. Soy actually raises the HDL. Other beans lower the HDL. Some studies show a reduction in cardiovascular disease risk, and especially in stroke, by as much as 45% from the use of foods high in flavonoids, such as soy, with their isoflavones. Women in Japan consuming tofu 4 times a week versus 2 times had a myocardial infarction risk ratio of 0.5. Cut their heart attack in half. Soy is good. Soy reduces blood pressure, especially in women, at 25 grams per day or more. But when we go out to eat as Adventists, we have little strips of soy, not 25 grams. I think we need the 25 grams. Studies have found blood pressure lowering effects of soy foods as well as improvements in endothelial function, reduced LDL cholesterol oxidation, and larger LDL particle size associated with reduced coronary heart disease risk. Studies show soy products and isoflavones may reduce the risk of prostate cancer. The Adventist Health Study showed those drinking more than 1 cup of soy milk a day had a 70% reduction in prostate cancer risk. We don't know why, but it sure went down. Studies show soy may have protective effects against breast cancer and reduced risk of death or recurrence in those who have had it. A study showed ovary cancer to be inversely related with 82 grams versus less than 20 grams, resulting in a 60% lower risk. A case control study showed that the use of beans such as soybeans were protective against pancreatic cancer. So soy, I can't really push hard enough. Soy is really worthwhile, but we think a few strips is enough. It's not. He needed 25 grams per day. Sugar-sweetened beverages promote weight gain, and replacement of energy from fat by sugar-sweetened beverages is counterproductive in diets aimed at weight loss. More energy can be ingested per minute when apple juice is consumed than when apples are eaten. Energy-containing soft drinks can supply large amounts of energy despite their relatively low energy density. Over the past several decades, levels of overweight and obesity have increased all population groups in the U.S. Concurrently, an increased daily intake of 150 to 300 calories for different age sex groups has occurred, with approximately 50% of the increased calories from consumption of calorically sweetened beverages. 67% of Americans eat everything on their plate, no matter what the portion size. 30% of the time, Americans dine out. Restaurants vie for offering generous portions. It would take more than 1 to 2 hours of extremely vigorous activity to counteract a single large-sized pie, children's meal, or at a fast food restaurant. Kids 7 to 17 consume nearly twice as many calories when they eat at a restaurant than at home. Such meals, besides resulting in obesity, provide more saturated fat. An important nutritional principle to ensure getting adequate nutrition is to consume a variety of different foods over a period of time. A large variety at one meal is not to be recommended, however, as it may result in excessive intake. There should not be a great variety at any one meal, but this encourages overeating. Ellen White tells us that 39 studies reviewed showed consumption of food increases when there is more variety in a meal, and this is associated with greater body weight and fat. A review of studies on metabolic advantage for the low carbohydrate diet is not good. The low carb diets produce greater weight loss the first 6 months, but by the end of 1 year, there was no difference. The problem is aggravation of kidney disease, which in the nurses' health study showed 1/4 had, and an increase in heart disease. Weight loss from the high protein diet occurs primarily because one consumes less calories. A major reason for weight loss was because of increased water loss in these high protein diets. Now, I think I have a lot more back in my slides, not in my slides, but in the papers I've given you here. Yeah, I think I do. I get into more of the spiritual. Yes. Jesus' intercession for us in the most holy place above is as essential as was his death upon the cross. Have you heard Sister White say that? Jesus' intercession for us in the most holy place above is as essential as was his death upon the cross. It is as necessary that he should keep us by his intercession as that he should redeem us by his blood. The work of health reform is the Lord's means for lessening suffering in our world and for purifying the church. When did you last hear a sermon on health reform should be developed in our church to purify our church? I've never heard that said from the pulpit. But that's what Ellen White tells us. Okay? It is the Lord's design that with the restoring influence of health reform shall be a part of the last great effort to proclaim the gospel message. It will start with where man fell first, on the point of appetite. We are approaching the great final test. This test must come to the churches in connection with true medical missionary work. Under the great head, we are to present God's word requiring obedience to the system of Bible truth, which is a system of authority and power, convicting and converting the conscience. The demand of the word to obedience is a life and death question. Sister White says, it is as much a sin to violate the laws of our being as to break one of the 10 Commandments. When you understand physiology in its truest sense, your drug bills will be very much smaller, and finally, you will cease to deal out drugs at all. A drug medication should never have been introduced into our institutions. Physicians resort to drugs when greater skill and knowledge would teach them the more excellent way. Sanitarians were to reform the medical practice of physicians. It is the Lord's purpose that his method of healing without drugs should be brought into prominence in every large city through our medical institutions. Now, how many cities do we have in the U.S. that have 1 million population or more? At least 10. We should have at least 10 sanitariums about 20 miles out from every large city. Church members should distribute literature judiciously from house to house. Some will be reached by our literature who would not be reached in any other way. Let's see, there's another one. More than 1,000 will soon be converted in one day, most of whom will trace their first conviction to the receiving of our publications. The Holy Spirit working through his earthly messengers will accomplish more than the printed page. There is nothing that converts the people like the medical missionary work. Now, every time I've had a weight control program, and I've done hundreds of them, but every time I've done one, it seems like the women want to challenge the men. We're going to lose faster than you do. That's crazy. That's crazy. The male hormone has a higher metabolic activity, helps to reduce weight. The female hormones add fat. And it goes the other direction. And so it's very difficult for this to happen. Why men lose weight faster than women? Men have more muscle tissue than women. Muscle burns calories faster than fat does. A basal metabolic rate is 6 to 7% higher than for women. Men have a basal metabolic rate that is 6 to 7% higher than that of women. Men are taller and heavier with large bones than women. Therefore, they have greater energy expenditure than women for any given activity. Men lose weight twice as fast as women on the very same diet with the same amount of exercise. A man can lose weight on 2,000 calories a day, but a woman must get down to 1,000. Because men see weight loss occurring sooner, they are more encouraged to stick to the program of proper diet and exercise. Testosterone promotes muscle development. Estrogens help to encourage fat development. Adolescent girls getting estrogen production, the preparation for pregnancy, tend to put fat on their bodies. Boys during adolescence produce more testosterone, which promotes muscle development. Therefore, boys may even get thinner. Estrone tends to put on more fat than estradiol. During the reproductive years, estradiol is the main female hormone. However, overweight women tend to be producing more estrone. Men are more realistic about weight loss. They know they must eat right and exercise. Women are more emotional about it. They tend to hate exercise and will do everything possible short of bed rest to avoid it. Men lose weight because they are motivated by the need to be healthy. Women attempt to control their weight more for social reasons, to look more attractive. Men know what they must do to lose weight and do it. Women know what more about calories than men, but they are more prone to try any bizarre diet, even though they know deep inside this isn't what's going to help them. Men look good with an extra 45 pounds, and no one remarks about it. Women start hearing about it with 10 extra pounds. Children don't like to have a fat mom, but little is said about an overweight dad. So there's quite a difference between the men and the women. The men always win out when they have this race against the women in trying to lose weight. Now, are there any particular questions anybody had? Do we have a business meeting coming up soon here in this church? So, but weight is the big problem.